welcome to the Smart Publishing Impact Series. I'm Renée Lautermilch, Chief Editor at Smart Publishing, and this is the podcast where we explore all things writing, publishing, and the impact of storytelling. In each episode, I'll share insights and strategies to help you navigate the book journey, whether you're writing, publishing, or already an author. Plus, you'll hear from inspiring authors who are using their book to change lives. And if you're passionate about storytelling and ready to make an impact, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review. Now let's get started. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Smart Publishing Impact Series. I am Renée Lautermilch, your host and Chief Editor at Smart Publishing, and today is episode 51, Audible versus Spotify. Where should you publish your audiobook? So real quick before we get into this episode, if you did not listen to the previous episode, episode 50, you may want to go back and listen to that episode because it's a bit of a prerequisite for this episode because it gets into a recent crackdown that Audible started doing on audiobooks that are on the platform or being uploaded to the platform that are using AI voice cloning technology. So I get all into that. I go into why I believe it is absolutely not the right call for authors. I go into why I believe that Audible is doing it because they're missing out on revenue from their narrator marketplace since the inception of AI voice cloning technology has made it more accessible and easier than ever for authors to be able to have their book read in their voice at an affordable price without having to take days out of their schedule and $9,000-$10,000 out of their bank account to go do a studio level recording. That is the quality requirement that Audible requires. If you have any less than their very narrow margin of audio quality requirements, you get rejected. So I go into all of that, and I go into where we are moving our authors and where I actually moved my own audiobooks, Spotify. And so I wanted to do a follow-up on that because I was very new to Spotify for authors at the time I recorded that last week. Since that time, I have actually come to learn a lot more about the Spotify for Authors platform. And I'm in love with it. I love what I'm seeing. And so I wanted to do a follow-up episode just to do a little bit more education on the contrast between Audible and Spotify. As I've used Audible quite a bit. And now I feel pretty comfortable and familiar with the Spotify platform. And I am really, really liking what I'm seeing. Since then, we have published a publishing partner, one of our authors. We've published his book on Spotify. I have actually pulled both of my books off of Audible and they are processing to get up on Spotify right now. So I'd love to go through some of this stuff with you all. Now, on the last episode, on episode 50, the first thing that I noticed when I got into Spotify for Authors was how easy it was to sign up for an account, and how simple it was to get going and how much better of a navigation process it is than Audible, which is a bit clunky. It's very intuitive when you go and add an audiobook. It's very easy to do. I feel like there's a lot of places on Audible to get caught up or confused. And because you can get a little caught up and confused on those, oftentimes what can happen is you can have sendbacks from the platform just because something wasn't clear. And it stinks because when you get a sendback from Audible, you've typically already been waiting 10 business days. It takes a really long time. And then it sends you back all the way in the back of the queue again when you submit. And so it can be a very, very lengthy process. But Spotify is just a lot smoother and a lot more streamlined. One of the other things that I really enjoy as a publisher, not just an author, is there is a way to add team members to your account. So If you're not wanting to do all of the publishing setup with the audiobook, maybe you have someone who's going to be helping you. Maybe you're going to be working with, a publisher to do it. Instead of having to, and I hate this, like give your credentials to somebody else so that they can log in as you, passwords never have to be shared because uh, Spotify has an ability to invite team members and give them different delegate level access permissions on your team. Say they have the ability to do this, but they can't do this. So it's very customizable. So you can have people who can log in on your behalf, access your account, do the things that they need to do without bugging you for two-factor authentication or anything like that every single time, or having to do it on a screen share. Audible does not have that option at all. It doesn't have the option to give anybody else access to your account. So, you're kind of caught in a position of, do I do what I shouldn't do, which is share my credentials with somebody else? Do I take a whole bunch of my time to go on a screen share and have someone walk me through this? It's so much more convenient that they have this setup. Another thing that I noticed that they have is they have really cool insights that Audible can't even scratch the surface of. For Audible, when you're looking at stuff, it's pretty limited reporting that they have. But in Spotify, you can see your audience and you can look at what their demographics are based off of their consumption time of your stuff on Spotify. You can even look at where they're located by country, which, it isn't that crazy, but the demographics thing was pretty cool. You can even look at their interests. So what other things are they consuming on Spotify? So this gives you a lot more data to understand who's listening to you, which is just, really, really neat insights to have. When you go into your reports section, you can learn about your audiobooks performance. You can get new insights about your listeners. They pull things like demographics and also listening behavior in there, so you can understand, like, are people just listening to like the first 5 minutes and then they're falling off? Or are they listening and following through and really consuming your content, which is really important for authors because we need to know, is our stuff actually engaging? Because if you have a lot of very early drop-offs, chances are what you have is not engaging, and lesson learned, maybe there's something you can go back and fix to make it more engaging. But just really, really interesting to know. You also have royalty reports as well. And the way that the royalties work, I discussed this on the last episode too, is very author favorable. It is a 70 author, 30 Spotify split for any audiobook that is purchased full out. So what that means is, if I am not a member of Spotify and I want to go buy your book off of Spotify, I'm going to go buy it for its purchase price. You then get 70% of that sale and Spotify gets 30%. So very author favorable. The only other place that I've heard of a royalty split that favorable is with the Kindle format on Amazon KDP. So really, really, really great. And then the way that it works is a little bit less clean for Spotify members, because then if somebody's a Spotify member, you are then getting royalties in terms of their consumption and their listening time. So the more people listen and the longer they listen, the higher your royalties will be, which again is an incentive to have really engaging content and have this reaching the right audience too. So obviously I can't cleanly tell you what that split would be, because it works more like the same way it works with musicians on Spotify. The more people are streaming their content and the longer their content is being streamed, the more money they're making off of that. One of the other cool things that I just did today is under your settings, you can go into organization, and then there's this section called referral partner. And what you can do is you can distribute your content beyond Spotify with voices by In Audio. So I went to do that earlier today to see how easy of a process that was. And In Audio distributes to things like Kobo Books, Apple. Now, just note, not every one of those platforms accepts digital AI clone voices. Most of them do. Spotify clearly does. They are very AI forward. So just because the distribution is available doesn't mean that you'll necessarily get on every single In Audio platform, because you do have to mark in here whether or not your narration is an AI clone voice or a real voice. So, just a heads up on that, but you still get distribution beyond through In Audio, beyond Spotify. All I had to do, I took 2 minutes to sign up an In Audio account. And then I went back into my Spotify and I clicked to link. There's just this button there where you can click to link it with your In Audio account. And it just asked me, hey, do you want to give permissions? And I said, yes. And I was like, okay, you're done. And the cool thing is, once you have done that, you don't need to upload your files twice. Spotify can actually pass the audiobook to In Audio after your account is linked. So really, really, really great deal there. I'm going to see how that works. I'm going to see what platforms off of In Audio permit AI narration. So we'll just see how that works, because I think, just based off, I think it's based off of the quality, it may not be accepted in some areas, but a really, really cool option. Something I mentioned on episode 50 that links to what I was talking about with royalties, in regards to royalties just a couple moments ago, was something you cannot do on Audible is you cannot select your price, the price of your audiobook. You can do that on Spotify. So for, like I was saying, those people who are not Spotify members and are going to purchase your audiobook full out, you get to name your price. So that is up to you. So really, really, really cool there. I just selected $10 for both of mine, and we'll see how those perform. And the last thing I was going to jump into here was around the amount of time it takes for your book to be up. Like I said earlier, Audible, they say like 10 business days. What I've experienced has been a lot more than 10 business days, especially if you get a send back. So it takes a really, really long time once you submit on Audible for your book to finally be published and be available. When I was looking in here this morning, I noticed that it takes, they said, up to 72 hours. And those are not business hours. Those are just hours for your audiobook to process and become available on Spotify. So a much, much faster process. So that's everything that I have for now on the contrast between Audible and Spotify. Again, I feel like Spotify for authors is a much more author forward platform. It's AI forward, which is great because that is author forward in the case of people who don't have $9,000, $10,000 and 1 to 2 days to go into a studio to record their audiobook, but really adamantly feel that they want the sound of their voice being the narrator of their book. And as I continue to learn more and gain more insights, I will probably come back and do another episode. So I do have a couple announcements. I've got a couple of guest episodes that are going to be coming up really soon that are exciting. Next week is going to be episode 52, and it is going to be with an expert in the field of speaking opportunities, and he is going to be getting into all things speaking opportunities for authors with me. So if you are an author or you are someone who is looking to author a book and part of your goal with that is to secure speaking opportunities, this is one that you do not want to miss. This is this guy guy's bread and butter. It is what he does. So I'm really excited to introduce him to you next week and have that conversation with him. And then I just heard back from our IP attorney, Michael Poropat. He's going to be coming back on the show soon too. Hopefully that'll be episode 53. No promises. It'll be an episode coming up here in the next several weeks, but he's going to come back on to talk about that sneaky new feature that I mentioned a few episodes ago that is within Kindle, which is basically and they're not even, you can't opt into it. They've just been adding it, and they're going to continue to add it to more books throughout this year. But it is an ability to ask the book. It's like, I forget exactly what they call it, but you can go back and you can find that episode. It's just several episodes ago. Ask this book. That's what it's called. Ask this book is the feature, but it is an AI feature in certain Kindle books being rolled out to more Kindle books this year that allows an AI agent to sort of synthesize the information in your book so that a reader can go in and ask a question about your book and it will answer it. And I went into all of the issues that I see at stake there. I'm not going to get into them here. Go back, find that episode. It's just a few episodes ago and check it out. But my big question around that was the slippery slope of intellectual property. So Michael Porpat's going to be coming on the show again here real soon to discuss that with me. And I'm going to be really interested to hear his insights and his thoughts on all of it. So really good stuff coming up. Like always, if you are not connected to me, I would love to hear from you. You can reach out directly to me through email at renee@smartpublishingservices.com. You can also find more educational content in this podcast or on our website in the form of blogs, courses. We're actually just about to put up the 1-hour author course that will teach you how to write your book, self-publish it, market it, literally step A to Z of the writing and publishing process. That's going to be coming up real soon, and it'll be available off of the website, smartpublishingservices.com. And I am mostly on Facebook. So if you want to connect with me on there, just look me up, Renée Lautermilch, Lautermilch. I'm the only one in the world, so I'm the only one you should find. Connect with me on there. Hit me up in DM any questions that you have. I always love to answer questions, help, and educate. And of course, if you have not already subscribed to this podcast, hit that subscribe button now. And if you have an extra 60 seconds, I would be so honored if you would go and rate and review this show, because that helps to boost the algorithm to get this show out in front of more people who can benefit from hearing this content. So as always, thank you so much for your time and for joining me. And until next time, keep writing your story, because the world needs your voice.